New England, I know what you think. Oh, Colin, that stung. Yeah, I was surprised yesterday. I said Friday, I don't think this is much of a rivalry, but Pittsburgh I thought was buttoned up down the stretch, kind of reestablished a running game, which is amazing. They've got, Pittsburgh classic. Big game, step up. If they played Tampa Bay next week, they'd probably lose by 2 touchdowns. That's Pittsburgh. But a couple of years ago, I started mentioning this. I noticed a trend with Tom Brady, that as he has aged, his Decembers, he looks tired. He loses zip on his arm. And sure enough, I went and looked it up, and he has his lowest completion percentage month is December, his most interceptions in December, fewest yards per game in December. His passer rating's lowest in December. And what do I take from this? This is how you age, unless you're on cattle steroids. Yeah, in baseball, 37-year-old guys suddenly played like they were in their prime. On the Tour de France, guys who were older literally could scale the mountain like Superman. But if you're not on cattle steroids, this is how Tim Duncan aged. This is how Tom Brady is aging. He is still good. He's good. And he still has moments of great. But as the season wears on, it's a long season. And by December, Tom could use a couple of weeks off. He could use a bye week. He could really use about 6 days of not throwing the football. For the record, Belichick, you do realize he was furious that he had to trade Jimmy Garoppolo because Tom Brady has become the kind of player Belichick moves off of. Good, aging, expensive, and you want to get rid of him a year or two early, not a year or two late. Belichick wanted to have Jimmy Garoppolo ready for right now. And this would be Tom's last year. Instead, they have no backup quarterback and an aging quarterback who is no longer pushed by Jimmy Garoppolo. This is not all Brady's fault. Outside of Trey Flowers, their front seven defensively is completely average. This is not all Brady's fault. Edelman past his prime, too many drops. Gronk's a non-factor in most games. Josh Gordon's your deep threat. Really? This is not all Brady's issue. For years, he's been taking pay cuts, which means they should have talent everywhere around him. And they don't. But Tom is simply not good enough to squeeze 12 to 13 wins out of an average roster. I think Tom this year will squeeze 10 wins out of an average roster. But they're not good enough to go on the road and beat good teams. They're not going to go on the road. If they had to go on the road and play Baltimore in a playoff game, they're not good enough. They're not good enough if they were in the NFC to go to Chicago and win at this time of the year, December, when Tom's getting worn out. So I think they'll squeeze 10 wins out of this thing. Some of this is on Belichick. Brady's been taking pay cuts forever. Where are the players? Where are they? Devin McCourty's talented. Trey Flowers is good. Where are the players? Where are you spending the money? He's whiffed on draft picks. But New England now is just a good team with a quarterback who's aging, who could use absolutely a couple of bye weeks now, some days not to throw, to hydrate, rest, hang out with his kids. Brady looks like he's looked the last 4 to 5 years in December. But now, what's around him, despite his pay cuts, is really average. And he is simply not at the point in his career where he can carry average. Andrew Luck can. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has the energy for the next 7 years to do that. There are guys around this league that can do that. Tom's not one of them. And this is how dynasties end for the Spurs and the Patriots when your star is not on steroids.